Good evening, Nick family, and welcome to the show. As always, I got a lot to talk about, but first I got to start with giving some love. I'm by myself right now, so if you see me looking down, I got a lot prepared. No, I'm not going to remember, so I'm going to have to look down. But just first, this is I think the last time we did this show, it was before the playoffs, right? So we got a lot to talk about in that respect. But first, I want to give a shout out to the chat, A-Train, Dewan Bailey, Andy Garcia, and everybody else that follows the Queen's Court and Nothing But Knicks. Appreciate you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified of any videos that come out on this channel. If you like the video, give me a like. I appreciate it. First, want to shout out. I got a lot of shout outs today, because this is pretty much the last show for this season. After this, we're going to start focusing on the next season and what needs to happen. So shout out to Sim, of course, for just being who he is, being easy to work with, asking me to host the show, doing the slides, the logo, all the work he puts in behind the scenes. I appreciate you. But I also want to shout out the panelists. This is my first time being a panelist. Obviously my first show, but first time being a panelist. It started on MBK. So I want to shout out the panelists that I kind of came into this with. So I don't want to forget. So, Sam, of course, Divine, Isaiah, Andy, Josh, a.k.a. Uncle Fulio, Cornerstone Kev, Evergreen, Gmo, Tony Crow, BX Jetty, Uncle Freezy, Ron Cleveland, JD, and anybody else that I shared the panel with that I may have forget. Now, I appreciate some of you for showing love, and others of you, I just appreciate your insights. I definitely learned a lot. I have a lot of energy, as you know. I'm very opinionated, and that doesn't always go over well for me historically throughout my life. But I'm kind of at a point where I'm no longer playing small. I'm just being who I am, and it works for other people and it doesn't. And I appreciate just being in this forum with the people in the chat, the people on the panel, and just having an opportunity to talk about the Knicks. So I appreciate all of you. Chris is coming on, but if she's late or she doesn't, as you know, I could carry this entire show by myself. I could talk. So let's get into the Knicks playoff series. I know a lot of Knicks fans are disappointed. So am I. Going into the series, I don't think anybody thought that Knicks would lose 4-1. Even those who thought Knicks fans who thought Atlanta was the better team, I'm not sure anybody thought 4-1. I also think going in, and we talked about this on the last show, that at least I felt the Knicks had the advantage on the bench. And we're going to get into that because I think that had a lot to do with how this series turned. But we all knew they had a lot of shooters. We knew they had a lot of options. We knew, I even said that the Knicks rotations was going to have to be on point, that they put a lot of pressure on your defense. And if you miss a rotation, it can really hurt you. And that wore itself out. There were other factors as well. But as far as their starting lineup is concerned, it did give us fits. And, shout out to Trey. He is an exceptional, in my opinion, point guard. Very heady, has a high IQ. They put those options around him so that to kind of free him up a little bit. And he did a great job, especially off of the pick and roll, identifying what those options were. I didn't think there were a lot of adjustments by the Knicks to kind of test it, to test his IQ. But the options that were presented to him, he took full advantage of it. So shout out to him and McMillan, who, at least the first few games put in, really packed it in on Randle. I thought it loosened up a little bit, game 3 through 5, but maybe game 4 and 5, but game 1 through 3, you could really see how they were packing it in and pretty much playing a zone behind Randle. So shout out to McMillan for that adjustment. I think He looked at our offense, and as we all know, we watched this team all season. Our offense runs through Randle, right? The guys are getting their shots off of Randle, right? Whether that's out of the double team, whether that's the drive and kick, and they're going to specific spots, and Randle expects them to be in specific spots. That's where they get their shots. And over the season, you get used to getting your shots in certain places. And once they stopped Randle, in my opinion, it really threw our entire offense off to some respect. That guys weren't getting the shots they're used to getting, not getting it in the spots they're used to getting it in. And if they got shots at all, like there were times when Bullock didn't even get the number of looks he would usually get in a game because he plays so much off of Randle. So we're going to get into it a little more. I know there are some Knicks fans who think that, they're just chalking it up to the talent differential. And I just think that's an easy out. Not that there wasn't, especially in that starting lineup, but I think that's just a cop-out and an easy out for Randle and the coaching staff, in my opinion. I'm not saying that if Randle played better and Tibbs made the adjustments, that they still would not have won the series. They very well may have. But I think it's a 6 or 7 game series in that respect. So in my opinion, we lost this game because Randle had a subpar performance. And in my opinion, listen, I can't really criticize Tibbs because I'm not that knowledgeable about the NBA game. Maybe he made adjustments I didn't see. He knows more about basketball than I could ever know at this point in my life, right? But I just felt like I didn't see, put it that way. Maybe he made them, I didn't see it. I didn't see much offensive adjustments to try to free Randle up. I didn't see a lot of defensive adjustments to make it harder for Trey. Listen, he very well could have picked apart any adjustment we made, but I still think we should have made it, right? I would have liked to have seen not just offensive tweaks, defensive tweaks. I would have liked to have seen some rotation tweaks in the sense of minutes, right? I would have liked to have seen Obi play more minutes. I would have liked to have seen Quickly play more minutes. Quickly actually played less minutes in this series than he did in the regular season. And I think, especially in Game 5, when we were down, just given his shot-making ability, given the range in which given his shooting range, he could have provided a spark. And I just think at that point, you're just doing whatever you can to spark the team, right? So I would have liked to have seen more than that from Tibbs. And I do think their starting lineup talent notwithstanding, I still think it would have been a more even series if Randle played better and we make those necessary adjustments. That being said, let's get on to Randle. Before we get into the slide that's coming up, I just want to say Randle is still my guy. Like, I still believe in him. I think he had an all-star season and soon to be all NBA season, and deservedly so. Like, he played lights out this season. He's not the first player to not do well in their first playoff series, right? It happens, right? He didn't play well. You could say it was because they put a wall behind him, and that was true. They took away his driving lanes. They did do that. But there were some things I saw, unforced turnovers, bad shooting, missing the shots that were in his range, and just sometimes just looking like a deer in headlights in some respects. It did look like the lights were a bit too bright for him. That being said, he's still my guy. I still think the Knicks should sign him to an extension, obviously upgrade the roster. And I would put money on Randle coming back in the next playoffs and playing lights out. I would put money on it. This is a guy who works hard. He cares about what he does. I'm sure he feels bad. I'm sure he feels like he let the city down. He let his teammates down. Hopefully he's not beating up on himself too much because we need his mind to be right, coming back. But let's pull up this slide and just see the difference. I mean, listen, we all know, but we'll just see it in the regular season. 24.1 points, 10.2 rebounds, 6 assists. And he actually did better playing against Atlanta in the regular season. 37.3 points, 12.3 rebounds, 6.7 assists. Shot 58.1% from the field, 81.8% from the free throw line. But in the playoffs, partly due to the adjustments of McMillan, partly I think due to our lack of adjustments and just his poor play overall, 18 points, 11.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 29.8% field goal percentage. That's just not going to cut it. He shot very well when he did go to the line, 85.2%. But I want to talk a little bit about the assists as well. He averaged four assists. It seemed like it was less than that. That's huge for us because, as I mentioned earlier, our players play off of him. They get their shots through Randle. So if he's not moving the ball for whatever reason, because he's playing bad or because of what they're doing, that makes the rest of the team look bad. It makes them look like, why are these guys even on the floor? We need to get rid of them. I don't want none of them back. They just don't look good, But that being said, some players make other players look better, Think about it. If Trey didn't play well in this season on his own accord, or if the Knicks did something to slow him down and bottle him up, do you think Herter, Collins, Hunter, Capella, all of those players would have looked the way they looked in this series? Maybe, maybe they would have, but I don't think so. I think Trey makes them go and makes them look, I don't want to say better than they are, but they get easier shots and it makes the game easier for us. Randle does the same thing for us. And when he's not doing that, it bogs things down and it makes people look bad. Like Bullock plays off of Randle. Bullock, there was one game he didn't even score a point. You know what I mean? There was one, game he didn't score a point. So yeah, those 4 assists is a problem and the 18 points is a problem. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from Atlanta, nothing. But when your best player doesn't show up for a playoff series, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And I'm not going to say he didn't show up. When he plays subpar like he did, it's a wrap, right? It makes it harder to win. And that was part of the problem. So it wasn't just the talent, Randle, Tibbs, and what Atlanta was doing as well. Before I welcome Chris in, I just want to give some more shout out to the chat. I think that says New York and Knicks Jets. I hope I got that right. Jose Alvarez, TJ, Abdella Raya, E. Sleeper, Andy Garcia. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of you for coming into the chat. Jose Alvarez says, salute Steph from Puerto Rico. Proud of my Knicks no matter what. Definitely. I definitely feel the same way. Chris, can you hear me? I think you're on mute.
What's up, Steph? You can hear me now?
I can. How are you?
I'm good, sis. I'm good. Fighting that traffic, and then the sky opened up on me on the highway, so.
That's okay. Appreciate you for joining us. We didn't get that far, actually, so just your take on the series overall and your take on and your take on Randle as well.
I honestly feel like somebody stole my basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking for it because I just have I have that feeling like it's just I can't even explain it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really feel disappointed. I kind of feel like let down. Like they really, had our hopes up to really do something special, and you know what I'm saying? Randle. I was thinking about it on the drive-in, and I think that you had said something in a previous podcast that you wanted to see playoff Randle. And I was like, I think he's going to be all right. But, that pressure sometime in them lights, it can definitely either propel you to something great, or it can bring you down and humble you, So I really just feel like it was just too big of a stage for him. I just feel like he just really, and not that he didn't show up, like that wasn't really the thing. It's just that it just seemed like Atlanta had his heart a little bit or something. You know what I'm saying? Like he just really, the stuff he was doing before, he was still doing it. The shots was falling, but I just felt like at that point when you just really felt like things wasn't clicking for you, that you should have started being a little more aggressive and going to the basket. And I think I told you that before, like he doesn't go to the basket. Like he settles for jump shots. The only time he'll go to the basket if he has a one-on-one with somebody. Other than that, he will just shoot a jump shot. He has to get stronger. He has to get a low post game. Because I feel like as the times that they took Capella out, he could have took advantage of the opportunities, and it just, yeah. I don't know. I'm still kind of, I don't even know what to say, It's been like I went to a funeral or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you lost your auntie or something, and you just trying to recover. Like, dang, I miss my auntie, Or like my old times, I miss my Uncle Charles, yo.
Yeah, I mean, do you think a part of his struggles, how much of his struggles was him, and how much of his struggles was how Atlanta was playing him?
I think it was a combination of both. I think because he had such superb games against them that I think they were kind of anticipating him doing the same things. Because like I said, he does the same moves. It's not like he's changed it up or he added something to his game. Like Quick added something to his game. You see like my boy Obi added something to his game. Like people added different things. Burks added something. Bullock, he wasn't shooting his jumper. He would take it off the dribble. And I feel because he was doing the same exact moves that he was doing the duration of the season, that they already knew what he was going to do. If he get the ball in the post, he going to try to turn right. All right, we're going to bring that man right. When he get to the baseline, he going to try to turn baseline. Let's put somebody on the line. And they just really took the ball. Like, okay, he get the ball here. Let's try to get out of his hand before he could get down and do his, like, spin move. And so I just feel like they really had his number. But then I think about Tibbs, like, as a coach, and I used to coach eons ago, you have to be able to, in game, see what the defense is doing, and you have to have a counter. Now, if it's, loading the ball on one side or, creating picks and rolls or something, like he didn't make no adjustments. I think the only real adjustment for me was just starting Rose. You know what I'm saying? Because the same thing you was doing all season, you did during the playoffs, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, and you talking about Rose moving into the starting lineup is a perfect segue into the next segment. When he moved Rose into the starting lineup, initially, I saw it as an adjustment. I said, listen, we already down 2 offensive players with Peyton and Noel. Now Randle's not playing well. RJ's not playing well. Bullock is not playing well, partly because Randle is not playing well, and then in that lineup in the second game, in the second half, played well. I guess he figured like, wow, things are really opening up. This is the way to go. But I don't, in hindsight, and hindsight is always 2020, didn't seem like that was the case. Let's pull up this next slide.
Okay.
That shows this is the starters versus the bench in game 1 and 2 versus game 3 and 5. So as you can see here in game 1 and 2, our starters gave us 43.5 points. Our bench gave us 60. Right?
Wow.
59.5. And as a team, we averaged 103 points over those 2 games. 1 win, 1 loss. And the loss was just by 2 points. We made the change. Game 3 through 5, our starters scored 65.3 points, right? Because, Derrick Rose and Taj actually is in that starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Our bench, and that's a 21.8 positive difference, right? But our bench now in games 3 through 5 scored just 27.6 points, which is a difference of 31.9 points. And as a team, over those 3 games, we averaged 93 points, right? That's a 10-point difference, which is the difference between the bench, bench between games 1 and 2 and games 3 and 5, right? It's a 10-point. It's a 10-point difference. So I think that the Rose moving into the starting lineup hurt us more than it helped us. Because listen, there was like a 33 point difference between the starters and the bench. I mean, there was a 33-point difference. The bench, went down 32 points. But even though that first team was struggling, they wasn't struggling by that much. Right?
Yeah.
And that allowed our bench to kind of come in and make up for whatever struggles. Because it's not on the chart here, but Atlanta's bench in the first 2 games, 27 points. The game 3 through 5, 28 points. That's all their bench scored. 27 points on average was all they got from their bench. And I said coming in, that's where we have our advantage. Their bench is not very strong. You put Rose in that starting lineup, now you're taking away our advantage.
Definitely.
And we did not gain an advantage putting him in the starting lineup, right? If anything, we played even, but I think they even outplayed us. I would have to go back through each game. So we don't get an advantage changing the lineup with the starters, and now we have a disadvantage off the bench. I think we did Atlanta a favor. I think McMillan was like, woo, I was very concerned about this bench coming in, but you're going to move Rose into the starting lineup. We're going to still take care of y'all there, and now you can't come back. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do think I did see it as a plus because when I heard that he was starting, I said, okay, well maybe he can spark the starters and get them going, and it did hurt the bench a lot. But the Knicks was talking about next man up, and they tried to, but it really collectively, and you can't just even though some people had individual games where they kind of shine and they kind of stepped up, but as a whole, they didn't show up as a team. So I think that's where my disappointment is. And I feel like maybe he should have started someone else instead of Rose. Maybe maybe start Burks, just somebody other than, because like I said, Rose was the one that really was getting that second unit moving. We could sit here and make up a whole bunch of scenarios, but at the end of the day, Tibbs got out-coached. He got out-coached, and we got our ass whooped, and it's just, and it's so crazy because it's like now you're trying to decide, what do you do with Randle? Do you give him the extension? Do you do this? Do you do that? But, you basing it on the playoff games, and people say, oh, you shouldn't base off the playoff game. Well, this is where you really earn your check. This is where you earn them big bucks, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would sign him only because I think he's going to bounce back.
Of course, and that's one thing about him is that he uses stuff as fuel. So I'm sure he's probably going to be a different player next year.
Well, he could be a different player next year, but he's not going to be able to avenge himself into the playoffs. He's going to have to be. He could be MVP next season. And for me, I'm still going to want to see him in the playoffs. But I just want to talk about this real quickly before we move on to the next section. Their bench consisted of Gallo, Herter, and Lou Will, right? Gallo averaged 9.4 points in this series.
I was about to say, he wasn't a
Yeah.
But it was his length though. I think it was his length that really hurt us because he's like 6'10", right? 6'9", 6'10".
He is.
Yeah.
Herter averaged 9.4 points in this series. Lou Will averaged 4.8 points, but he hit some timely.
I was about to say he might have averaged that, but he hit some shots that kind of set us back.
Right. Snell and Solomon only had 3 points in this series. Snell had 3 points, Solomon had 3 points, and Okongwu had 5 points in this series. Right. So their bench was not very strong. This is just brings out the point that perhaps had we left things the way they were, because Randle struggled in game 1 and game 2 as well. He probably struggled the most in game 1 and game 2. And we won 1 and lost 1 by 2. So perhaps had we left things the way they were, maybe we would have had a better shot. But anything else you want to say about moving Rose into the starting lineup before we move on? Let me see. Let me just shout out the chat. Shout out to Legion of Knicks podcast. Appreciate you. Yes. That was my other point, DR136. Yes, Randle deserves criticism, but outside shooter would have taken pressure off of him to force things. I agree. Yeah. But this is the thing. The offense runs through Randle. So if the offense ran through a point guard and we had shooters, then the point guard could just pass it to those shooters hit, the defense now has to shift to them, Randle gets more space. But our offense doesn't run that way. Our offense runs the other way. They get shots off of Randle. And if Randle is not distributing for them, we don't have a point guard that does that.
That's right.
Now Rose can do it, but I think, again, the chemistry issue, when you bring in Rose from the second unit, now guys are maybe playing with people they don't usually play with. And so much of our success was on chemistry. Perhaps even if Rose could have distributed to them and they could have opened things up for Randle, maybe because they're not used to playing that way, maybe we weren't able to take advantage of that. But I appreciate you, DR136. I thought about that as well. Anthony D. Steph, I owe an apology on RJ. Your concern was proven true. You know what? I actually thought RJ got better as the playoffs went on, and I forget what game it was where I felt like Hunter really took advantage of him offensively. I thought his defense was much better in game 4 and 5, and he did not look out of sorts coming down to 4 and 5.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah, but RJ's the type of player that he plays within the flow of the offense. He's not going to step out.
He's streaky. He goes along with the flow, but I think that he's probably going to see some growth too. I mean, I've seen the different RJ. Like before, he used to get kind of down on himself or whatever, but at least, it seemed like he kept hustling. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't going in, and he was driving. He was mixing it up a little bit. So that's what you want, especially when your shot is not falling.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Juan Allen, salute to you. Absolutely, Atlanta played great defense. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And that definitely made it hard for us. But listen, this is what the playoffs is. The playoffs is it's chess. You can't roll the ball out and say, "Oh, we just gonna do the same thing we did in the regular season and it's gonna work." Like, no. Like, they make a move, you make a move. They do this, you do that. I mean, that's what I was expecting to see, especially in game 5, especially when Tibbs himself said, you got to bring out all the stops. So I'm sitting in game 5 waiting for all the stops.
And not only that, they was talking crap. So, you're coming talking crap. Like, come on. Like, that's what will fuel me. Y'all talk about sending us on vacation. Well, y'all going to have to wait another day, So I don't know. Like, I would have took that a little personal. I would have came with a chip on my shoulder a little bit,
I think they did, but I don't think they were good enough given the changes that were given the changes that were made, putting Rose in the starting lineup. I think it took away the advantage we did have. Randle not playing well. So I'm sure they took it personal. I'm sure they were focused. I'm sure they came out in their mind that they was gonna win this game. We talking smack. Oh, we about to, but they weren't able to. They just weren't able to. And I think they knew that. I think they knew they gave up their edge when they put Rose in the starting lineup because they was already talking about Philly, talking about sending you on vacation. When you're concerned about a team, unless you're very immature, you don't say things like that. And Capella's had 61 playoff games. He know what it is, but he knew the Knicks were dead in the water, and that he could say what he wanted, and that they would not be able to back it up. And he was right. Yeah, and he was right. We got a question from DR136. How do you feel about our assets in the draft? We're going to definitely get into that, DR136, when we get to the segment on what's next. Appreciate you. Oh, wow. We just on the second segment. All right, let's go through that. Just briefly, the season in review. For me, and I took some notes here. The Knicks exceeded fan, media, even Vegas expectation. Watching their toughness, the improvement of our defense, Randle's maturation, RJ's development, the development of IQ and Obi, the front office being legit, hiring Tibbs. I just think it was a great season for us. Watching them try to get that 4th seed, go out on that West Coast trip and do what they did, lose to the Lakers, lose the 4th seed, come back and win 3-1 to get it back. They were really, really focused. And I think we got a lot to build on. What's your take?
Yeah, they brought excitement back to New York and also to the New York Knicks fans. It was such a joy to watch them. I really thought, they will win every game. Like they had you feeling that they could win every game. And it's been a long time since we felt that. You know what I'm saying? And we had some exciting players, with Randle emerging, Burke stepping up. I'm like, okay, there was a game where he just kind of stepped. So, just to see that, definitely see RJ really striving because I'm sure he's hearing the noise about him. People wanted him traded and stuff like that, and just seeing the maturation in him as well. So it was a lot of things that actually was a plus this year. I just hope that we can build. And, definitely with the rookies that we had, who would have thought Quick would be, where he was, coming so low. And, they even gave him a D. They gave the Knicks a D+ for selecting him, So I'm excited for next year, but this year still hurt, I feel like we got robbed a little. I feel like I got robbed of some excitement, So I definitely want to see what additions and changes the Knicks make. I hope that they don't go on emotion and that they really think out what exactly direction they want to go to. And I think Tibbs is going to have a long summer because he's going to have to think about that playoff series, like what he could have done better or, how he could have motivated his guys and things of that nature. Because, at the end of the day, the players go out there and they play, but it's always going to hit the coach because, they're going to say he should have had them prepared or he should have had them ready, so it's going to be a tough summer stuff.
Yeah, the good thing is we have cap space, we have player and draft assets. We have a legit front office that knows what they're doing, and that front office is full of players people who specialize in the area, not just a general manager that know a little bit about the cap, but people who specialize in their respective areas. So I feel pretty good about that. Shout out to Josh, aka Uncle Julio. Appreciate you. Severink said, I'd be fine giving Randle 4 years, $106 million deal this offseason. That's about what a second option should get. You know what? My thing is, if you come in less than the max, will he understand that, or will he feel slighted? Will he feel like, oh, so you're going to just ignore what I did in the regular season and base it on those 5 playoff games? That's why you come in with less than the max extension. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he'll feel a little slighted. I think they just have to have a conversation with him and just, figure out where his head is at. It was an emotional season. I don't know if right now, because everybody's probably still kind of down on how it all went down, but I wouldn't take his money because I feel like he's young and he can definitely turn it around, but he definitely needs some help. He definitely needs some help. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. We're gonna move on to the rookie review. Shout out to Prince, miss you. What's up, Queens of MBK? Josh, hell yeah, we're gonna base it on the playoff. Who the hell he think he is? But Josh, you also are the one that says we got to make sure we keep our players. So we don't want to lowball him.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, Stephanie, but right now, it's looking real good for free agents right now. We're looking, because it was years that we weren't looking good. So now we're looking real good for free agents. I hope that they don't be discouraged by the playoffs because, things happen, but I just feel like they can say, you know what, I was what the Knicks needed. I'm hoping that a free agent or two say that, and come over and help us out.
Right. Thank you, Several Links. He said that's all he's able to get this offseason by league rules and an extension. Okay, so that's not does that also include the fact that 106 Several Links, does that also include, because I think you get more, the extension will be more if you make the All-Star team, and I think if he makes the All-NBA team. Somebody let me know if I'm right or wrong about that. Does that impact the extension numbers or no? But let's move on to the rookies. I'm just going to read off the stats. I'm going to start with IQ. He played 19.4 minutes in the regular season. 15.4 minutes in the playoffs. So it was like 4 or 5 points difference in minutes in the playoffs. 11.4 points in the regular season, 5.8 in the playoffs. 39.5% field goal percentage, 30.3 in the playoffs. 89.1% free throw percentage, 71.4 in the playoffs. Now, he may not have gotten there that much, but that didn't stop him in the regular season. He didn't get there that much in the regular season either, and he would knock it down. So I'm wondering if that was a little nerves. 3-point percentage was down a little bit, 38.9% to 36.4% in the playoffs. I'll say this about quick, and then I'll turn it over to you, Chris. The moment did not seem too big for him. I thought he should have gotten more minutes in this series, especially 3 through 5, games 3 through 5, when we were really struggling offensively. He's somebody that could, he has range. I thought he was a bit hesitant on some shots. In the regular season, there were some shots in the playoffs he gave up that he would have taken in the regular season and that I thought he needed to take. So I thought he was a little reserved. I don't know what that was about. Maybe he was also feeding off the tension, maybe it was just, he wasn't playing loose in my opinion. Yeah. But his defense was good. This guy, I'm gonna let you. I'll talk about his development later, but talk about what you saw about quickly in playoffs.
Yeah, I really don't think that the stage was too big for him. He's been showing all year that he's ready for this. And he even says that this is what drives him: the tough games, the tough shots. Just showing up. So I think he did well, and I think you're right. Tibbs should have played him more. He's one of them that can actually get on a streak. He sparked some really good plays, and he played pretty good defense. So I just feel like, maybe because he was a rookie, or at this point, I don't really know what Tibbs was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wish that, they had a conversation where he can really just say what his mindset was, because there were some spots where I felt like he could have put a certain player in. There was a run that was going on, and then they would go on a run, and then here comes Randle, and so it was just some things that just really, like, I question, like, why now? Like, they was going on a run, and it might be minutes for some people, or maybe just trying to get Randle his minutes. I really don't know what it is, but I just felt like he played a really good series. He played a really good series.
Yeah, he didn't shoot well overall, but from the 3-point percentage, he shot okay. I just want to talk a little bit about Quickly's development, and then I'll get into a few super chats we got. Appreciate you. As for his development, I'll say really quick, I saw development for Quickly in season. To start the season, I was not on the Quickly bandwagon. He was talented, he could shoot, but I didn't see much else. As the season went on, I thought not only did he extend his range on a 3-point shot, he tightened up that floater. He got the floater that now was high off the glass. And there was a few times where I saw him fake a shot, take 2-3 dribbles in, and then pull up for a mid-range. So, and over the summer, I'm sure he's going to work on that. If he has that much scoring, being able to score with the floater, high off the glass, the 3, the mid-range, it's going to be lights out, as far as his development. I think he's going to be a high-level NBA player. There was something else I wanted to say. To be a high-level NBA player, I think the Knicks got something. Now, everybody has a price. The Knicks in the offseason is going to try to upgrade this roster. The better player you are, the more valuable you become. So Quickly, I think, has put himself in a conversation. The Knicks are not going to just give him away. If they trade Quickly, it's going to be because of superstars coming to the team, in my opinion. What's your take on that? And then I'll read the super chats.
I agree with you. I agree. I mean, I think he definitely made his mark to be a stickler for the team. And I think, like you said, if he's going to be packaged up, it's going to be packaged up for All-Star. So,
right. Yeah. So let me read, got some super chats here. Shout out to 1975 Jam Rock. I don't think Randle would want to be here on a max and the team not be able to get other top players. That seat would be really hot, like really hot. So basically what he's saying is that Randle may not want to be here if the Knicks don't get other players to, at least that's what correct me if I'm wrong, if the Knicks don't get other players.
He might bring them though. Some people might want to play with him and Quick and Rose, and they might, you never know. Sometimes people having these side conversations, if nothing else, you could tell from LeBron having those conversations with towels and stuff over his mouth, how they got together, so like you never know what the conversations they're having. So
right. And shout out to Michael Porter. Thank you for the super chat. I like Dame, but his price would be way too high. We definitely can use someone with his playoff experience, but at what cost? We'd become the East Coast version of the Trailblazers. Let's get Lonzo. I was going to talk about Dame later on. Any take on that real quick?
On Dame?
Or on the super chat that he would, that his price would be too high.
I don't think that Portland is going to trade him. I think if he leaves Portland, it's going to be on his accord, because I think they're going to try to lock him up.
He locked up already to the tune of $52 million.
Exactly. So I think if anything, I would love to see him here, but like, hey, how many people we got to lose for him?
Yeah. Look at his contract. Next year, he's making $43 million, almost $44 million. 22. The season after that, he's going to be making a little over $47 million. The 23-24 season, he's going to be making close to $51 million. And then the 24-25 season, he's going to be making a little over $54 million.
We can't afford that.
Oh, we can, but we would have to.
But I'm saying what we're going to lose. Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But all right, but this is the thing, though, because I'm going back and forth. Should I talk about this here? Or should I, wait to the last segment? I'm going to wait to the last segment.
Okay.
Let's talk about Obi really quick. Obi's minutes when he went up from 11 to 13 in the playoffs. His scoring went up about 2.3 points. His rebounding went up. Pretty much stayed the same. His field goal percentage went up slightly. His free throw percentage went up from 73.1 to 83.3. And his three-point percentage went up slightly, 30.6 to 33.3. Listen, Obi played better down the stretch of the season, and he played better in the playoffs as well. He did not look like a deer in headlights to me. He did not look like the moment was too big for him. And I've heard people say, he played better than Randle. Listen, if you want to say if you want to say in his role, he played better than Randle played in his role, okay, I mean, fine. We can have that argument. But Obi had no pressure on him coming into this series. Absolutely none. Randle had all the pressure on him, right? But that being said, I like what I saw in Obi. It would be great. I don't know if this is possible, if his footwork can get together to the point where he can play some 3 and 4, give us some minutes at the 3. That would really help us in terms of lineup versatility if he's still here. But I don't know that if he could just get it together to play the 4 position and to defend that position, I might be asking for too much. What's your take on Obi in the playoffs and the season overall?
You already know that's my boy. I definitely enjoy watching him. I'm giving you realistic take now. Come on, that's my boy. I gotta keep it real though. I really enjoyed watching the playoffs. Like I said, he played free. He played wild and free. I'm gonna just say he played wild and free. There was some dunks he did that I was like, oh my goodness. I do think you're right. I think he will be more valuable to the team if he was able to play more than one position. So you're right. If he got his feet together and did that, somebody I was talking to kind of said that he reminded him of a very young Matrix, Sean Marion. I said, I don't know, but then I kind of watched him and I'm like, yeah, he is kind of like, that herky-jerky, movement and stuff like that. But if he could get his game, oh my goodness. But, hey, I don't know if Sean Marion is open to taking on people to train them and work with them, but that would be an excellent matchup because, if he can play the 3 and the 4 and kind of change it up, he get him a better jump shot than what he has right now. And maybe like a kind of mid-range game or something. Like I definitely see him really making some noise. And I hope that he takes this time this summer and really works on a lot of things.
He definitely will. Shout out to 1975 Jamrock. Appreciate the shout out, the super chat. Sign Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine. Sign Lonzo Ball. Zach LaVine is a free agent next season, not this season. Next season. This is my thing with Lonzo. I don't have a problem with him. I know there's some people on the Nothing But Knicks panel that don't like him. I don't have a problem with him. It's just about him with this team. I just think the Knicks need if you're building around Randle, if you're building around Randle's window for this championship run, and I'm not saying we're there yet, but you're adding pieces to get there. I think you need a veteran point guard. I think Lonzo is probably going to take him. Yeah, I think he's going to. No.
You don't think he's a vet?
No, I don't think he's a young vet. He's been in the league. maybe one more year than R.J. Barrett? I don't know if he's arrived yet. I don't know if that's who you want guiding your team if you're trying to make a playoff run, because he has a lot to learn as well. So I would like to see somebody a little more seasoned, if you will. He doesn't have to be a Grizzly vet.
Yeah, I get you. I get you, but I think with him coming to the Knicks, and if Rose is still here, I think it would add to what you're saying, because he is a big guard. One, he has worked a lot on his shot, and he sees the whole court. So you will want that, especially if you are going to have like some superstars or some all-stars coming that like to run the floor. I would love to see the Knicks in the open floor thing, because he'll get them the ball. So I don't know. I'm kind of like in the middle on him. Like, there's some times where I feel like he's lost, after being in the league so long. And then there's some times where he showed, especially the last maybe 10, 15 games of the season, he really was playing some ball, Stephanie. So I don't know. Like,
it's about that playoff experience. Look at Randle in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now we trying to go in the rent with another point guard. Even Levine, shout out to Prince, who's a big Levine fan, and he said we can get Zach LaVine for less than Dame, or hell, maybe Zach comes next year. And I like Zach LaVine's game, but to me, it puts us in the same spot.
Yeah.
Our two best players, LaVine would be one of our best players, don't have playoff experience. And he could go into the playoffs and be fine, like Trae Young was. It's just another question mark. We just don't know.
Yeah.
And if we do that, then we got to get some other veterans on this team that are actually playing and contributing, not veterans that's sitting on the bench cheerleading because they're past their prime. If we're going to get Levine, if we're going to get Lonzo, all these young players that don't have playoff experience, and we're trying to build off of what we did, then we got to get some vets in there that can actually be in the rotation. Because, in order for us to go any further. Anything else before I move to thumbs up, thumbs down?
No.
Good?
No,
right.
I'm enjoying where we at right now.
Okay. All right. So thumbs up to Derrick to Derrick Rose.
Definitely
helping us get that fourth seed. Just coming over, just how the team changed when he came over from Detroit. We had a lot of questions, always complaining on the panel about our bench just looking rudderless, not knowing what to do. And Rose came and settled that right on down, and our bench became an asset for us. Coming back, came back from COVID and took him a little bit, but got right back in the flow. This is his impact in the regular season: 14.8 points. In game 1 and 2, he averaged 21.5 points off the bench. I was trying to show game 3 and 5 without Rose. I don't know what he averaged in game 3 through 5, but he came off the bench for us. And in my opinion, in game 1 and 2, when he averaged that 21.5 points, we were in that series. Again, averaged 103 points per game, lost the first game by 2, won the second game. Then he moved through to the first unit. We didn't even score 100 points in game 3, 4, or 5, if I remember correctly. And that was just the impact of not necessarily that he would have scored all of those points, but he would have that unit would have been doing what they always do, would not have been anything new, right? And I think we would have clicked a little better. And maybe I'm overemphasizing that. Chat, let me know if you think that I'm making a big deal about Rose.
No, because remember, a lot of people were screaming for Rose to start. And
right, that's what I'm asking the chat.
We were telling them, like, this is probably going to be what happened. We're going to lose a lot from the bench.
Right. So I'm asking the chat, what's your thoughts? Do you think that was I'm making too big a deal out of it, and we would have lost anyway, even had we left him in the bench, on the bench? Let me know. But
I don't know about
the,
that.
the other thing we were able to see is that he can't play a lot of minutes. He played 37 minutes, 38 minutes. I'm not sure what his the first few games, like 37, 38, the first two games. And then by game 5, he was hobbled. He wasn't himself. He didn't have that explosiveness. He couldn't give us what he usually give us. He cannot play those minutes. I know there's been a few people in the chat throughout the season saying we have our point guard. He hasn't had a lot of injuries. He can play those minutes. But I don't think that he can. I think we got to keep him 20, 25. You start doing 32, over 30 minutes every single game. And I think he gets nicked up. And look, this was just the playoffs, just 5 games, though it was a little bit intense, and he took on more than I'm sure he was expecting to in this series. Any thoughts on just him being able to play those minutes, or you think we have to keep him 20, 25?
Yeah, Rose's body has been banged up, so I'm shocked that he was even able to give us those minutes when he can, because I said that. I'm like, wow, he's playing more minutes, but, it did kind of catch up to him. I don't know. I don't think he is our point guard. I think he might be like the valuable veteran point guard that's there to give us a little spell in a couple minutes and to mold and help cultivate the point guards that's coming in or the younger guys. But I don't think he should go over 25. I think his minutes from the season of him playing really helped us. And I know that Tiz was trying to will him to more minutes to kind of like help us out. But it just really took a toll. So I think if it would have went to 7, he probably wouldn't even be playing game 7. I don't think he would have been able to play.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think he would have. He just really looked out of it in game 5.
Okay. All righty. Okay. So, thumbs down to me. Shout out to 1975 Jamrock. Building the team with Julius initiating the offense is not a long-term solution. That's why Stephen A. says star players aren't sure they can play with J30. I mean, I think the question is, can Randle adjust? If we got a point guard, would he be able to adjust his game and play off of that point guard? And I think he would be. There were stretches of time when Rose was handling the ball, and it seemed like he was fine with it. And I think once we have more options, Randle will just be another option in the offense if we have a point guard. I would say.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Thumbs down.
Gotta go out for a little bit.
That's okay. Thumbs down. And I know I talked about this before. Tibbs not adjusting enough. Now, not Tibbs overall, but Tibbs not adjusting enough. That is, hold on. That's the issue for me. Listen, there's no perfect coach. We get another coach in here who's able to adjust, then maybe he's not a good bench coach. Maybe he doesn't hold players accountable. Like it's hard to find a coach that does everything well, right? So what Tibbs does well, got us to this point, So I'm not killing Tibbs, but I'm gonna say, what I said earlier, and because I talked so much about it earlier, I don't need to beat it too much. I would have liked to have seen some adjustments for Randle. I would have liked to have seen different looks on Trae Young, even if he beat those looks. And, at least we could say we tried it and it didn't work. I was okay with putting Frank on him. Even if you put Frank on him, I still think you still had to do something team-wise. I don't think Frank could do it by himself, but I would have liked to have seen that. What's your take on? Do you agree with that take? Thumbs down for Tibbs not making adjustments?
Yeah,
okay.
I do think it's thumbs down for Tibbs, but I would have loved to have had maybe Woodson. I don't know. Like I feel like his coaches, like they need to keep him accountable too. I know they're sitting over there, they're taking stats for this and that and the third. And sometimes you got to be the eyes to see. So, I want to give it to the coaches too. But, I don't know how much he listens to them, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like, they should have been the eyes and seeing like, okay, this is not working. Or maybe this guy is playing off him so we can take advantage of that. Or, just certain things like that. I just feel like the coaching staff should have been his eyes were in seeing picking up little things that he might not have seen. So, I give a thumbs down to them too, because as a collective, he doesn't do it alone. He has, people on his team that he works with, and I just feel like maybe they should have, stepped up and said some things. Or maybe he's not that coach that's open to, somebody telling him something. I don't know. But I just feel like, there was times that, they probably could have whispered to him like, oh, they playing off on Randle when he goes here. Let's try to get him the ball there. I don't know,
Yeah. I don't know either. I think that Tibbs comes across to me, and I could be totally wrong, I don't know him personally, as a bit rigid, but that rigidity really helped us. It's kind of what we needed. At this point in our development in terms of culture and as a team. But, that's fine. And me as the captain of rigidity, at least in my 30s, learned that there's times when you can be rigid and it's going to be an asset for you. And there's other times when you can't be rigid. It's not going to work for you, and being able to know the difference. And I think maybe some of those lineups, especially in the playoffs, we losing and the same lineup is in there, especially in Game 5. I could not, for the life of me, comprehend that. But shout out to Tibbs. He was my guy. He was my pick. He did a tremendous job with the Knicks. But that doesn't mean he can't improve either. And I'll tell you this. We want to upgrade our roster, and we should upgrade our roster. But if Randle doesn't play better, if Tibbs doesn't get better, it's still going to be a problem, even with an upgraded roster. Because even if you have somebody like Dame, you don't think they're going to key on Dame? You don't think they're going to try things to get the ball out of his hands? And if you're a coach, you're not making adjustments, that's going to be a problem no matter what the talent level is, in my opinion.
That's very much true.
Yeah. Pudge Nice said, Johnny Bryant stopped going up to him. It's true. I do remember Johnny Bryant used to go up to him and whisper things in Tibbs' ear. And you're right, I haven't seen that.
But Tibbs is a bully. 99.9% of the game, he's yelling the whole duration. Whether we win or losing, he's yelling. So, maybe I think he's that guy that he just don't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? And I think they're probably at that point where they're like, you know what? It makes no sense to go. Let me just keep the stats or whatever I'm responsible for and let it go. Because, at that point, he probably wasn't trying to listen anyway. I just don't know what that was about. But, that part has to get better.
No doubt. Okay. Shout out to 1975 Jamrock. Tibbs might be the Rex Ryan of the NBA. You know what?
He might.
You know what? I hope not. I hope Tibbs is not the guy that lays the foundation, because the person who sets the team straight is not always the guy who's there when they win the championship. So I hope that's not the case with Tibbs. He's done a great job for us so far, and I hope that he's there. When we get to become championship contenders in that conversation, I hope he's here. And if we ever get to the championship game, I hope he's here. He's New York through and through. And I would like him, if we do win the chip, to be the coach that takes us there. But
definitely
he has to get better. Like all of us, he has to get better. All right, we're going to close it out with next steps. And we'll talk a little bit about, Dame and all that other stuff. But I just want to talk about some key dates. The draft combine, June 21st to 27th. The lottery is June 22nd. The draft is July 29th. The Knicks have the number 19th pick and the 21st pick. Free agent negotiations start. Oh, hold on, something happened to my screen. All right, there we go. Free agent negotiations start August 2nd, and you can start signing free agents on August 6th, right? And then we go right into Summer League, August 8th through the 7th through the 17th, right? So those are the key dates coming up in the off season. I'll be here still every Friday talking about whatever it is that is Knick related. But briefly, Sam is going to do a series on Keep 'em or Dump 'em. He does that, I believe, every year, where he takes each player and we do a whole panel on, should we keep this player? Should we dump this player? And I believe he does them individually. So each player gets a show, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he may do it a little different this time. But I just briefly want to get into that really quick. For me, who I'm keeping next season, if I could, would be Bullock, Rose, and Taj. And I know people may not be high on Bullock because he didn't play that well in the offseason. And if we can find an upgrade for Bullock, I'm all for it. But I'm not for signing guys to money and they're not better than Bullock. I would prefer, if they're not that much better than Bullock, I prefer to keep him so we can have that continuity. Now, if they're head and shoulders better than Bullock, by all means, let's sign them. I would like to keep Rose as well as our backup point guard, and I would like to keep Taj because he could be somebody like now. If you have your two centers, he doesn't even play. But if somebody goes down, he steps in and he's solid for you, and that's what he did for us. When we had Noel and Robinson, he wasn't playing. Yeah, when Robinson went down, he had to. Who would you like to keep on this team, if anybody?
Yeah, I like the guys that you picked. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about Burks. I mean, I feel like he did have like a nice stretch with us when he got it together. Because in the beginning, I was like, oh, Lord. But he actually got it together. So I really don't know. I really don't know what his asking price is or anything like that, or we can keep him. But, I love his shot. When it's on, it's on, Frank and Knox.
Well, hold on. That's the next segment.
Oh, okay. That's the next one. Okay.
But let me just say real quick. I like Burks too, and I'm looking at my notes. I have dollar signs next to him. Can we afford to keep him? Right. And how many players do we have to give up if we make any trades in the off season? But he's not. He's a free agent, so we can't trade him.
He might go for a short-term contract. He might go for 1 year something, just to kind of stay in the mix. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think he would, try to, knowing what the Knicks is trying to do, I don't think that he would try to jump out the window and ask for like $25 million,
No.
Yeah. So I think that, we might be able to keep him,
Right. Severance, I hope I'm saying that right, said we can replace Burks scoring with quickly, which we need both of them. We need
both. Shoot.
So this is who I'm not keeping. I'm not keeping Noel because of his hands. Definitely not keeping I'm not keeping Alfred. And I'm not keeping Frank. And I'm not keeping Frank because, one, he's not playing. So it seems to me that Tibbs doesn't trust him. Let's get somebody else in that spot that we can develop that's either going to continue.
And he hasn't gotten better, Stephanie. Like, how long has he been on the team? And he has not gotten any better.
Understood. And Tibbs doesn't seem to trust him. So let's give that spot to somebody who's either going to play or that we're developing for years down the line. I think if you're not going to play Frank, it's just not even situational minutes, not even like in this playoff series where he could have guarded Trey and got like 10 minutes a game on Trey. If you're not going to play him, then just let him go. Because the number one reason is he's taking up too much time on the NBK panel discussions. That's the way we talk about Frank too much. Yeah, we're talking about Frank too much for the little bit of time that he plays. So just let Frank go on. I know my brothers Andy, Cornerstone Kev would be hurt, We'll be right there to support you, help you get through it. But I don't want to talk about Frank anymore. If they're not going to play him, let him go.
Him go.
And,
yes, I agree.
Yeah. Anybody else?
And Knox, please.
But Knox is under contract.
I know, but if he can't even make the rotation with him. So what we gonna do?
You know what I'm thinking about? What I'm thinking about for Knox, if the Knicks make a blockbuster trade where they have to give up a lot of their young pieces and Knox is not in there, maybe Knox now moves into the rotation just because of continuity, because he knows the system, he knows Tibbs, he knows what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But just like Frank, I'm not sure Tibbs trusts him either.
He doesn't. He put him in. One time he put him in and he took him out so fast you didn't even really know he was in the game. So I don't know. Like I just want to know what's going on in practice. Like what are they not doing and what are they not doing that they at the bottom of the bench? Like what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like everybody else is improving. And quick, and Obi just got there. You know what I'm saying? So what is going on, and what are y'all not doing that y'all can't crack the rotation?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if some of it is bringing something to the team that maybe Knox or Frank isn't. You know, maybe we need his scoring, we need his ability to stretch the defense. Maybe that's it. At the guard position. I'm not sure, but Knox is like 6'9", 6'10". We could have really used him to take some of those minutes. Yeah. All right. I mean, the only thing that's almost it. I just want to close with my wish list for the next season.
Okay.
And it's not even. I'm not going to even start with particular players or positions. One, we need toughness. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we needed to start a fight against the Atlanta Hawks. I'm not saying that. But when Bullock got hit in the back, if you want to come to his defense, you come to his defense right then and there. You don't wait for the next play when you matched up on Gallo. Now you want to hit him. You know, when Noel was tripped up by, I believe it was Herter. Nobody came to his defense. And Noel himself just stood up and said, don't do that. Like he's saying, you know where the bathroom is. Like we just need some toughness on some toughness.
We need a young Oakley or a young Mace on our team. We need to take it back to the old school. You know what I'm saying? Not really to hurt nobody, but just let them know you there.
Correct. So we definitely, whoever we bring in, I would like some toughness. And I think we need to bring in a dynamic player. We need to bring in an A player.
Definitely.
If you bring that A player in, that superstar at the point position, then the wing could just be a solid wing to replace Bullock and move him to the second team. If you bring in a dynamic wing, you know, then your point guard can just be a solid point guard. But in one of those positions, we need a dynamic player, somebody that can put points on the board that the opposite team has to game plan for. What's your thoughts on that?
I believe it's true. You know, we have to bring in somebody that's going to demand some respect. My question is real quick. Well, do you think with how these playoffs are coming out and certain teams are exiting in the first round, do you think some of these superstars that's on these teams will be looking to go somewhere else? Or do you think they're kind of staying? Because I just feel like at the end of the day, you know, I look at Kawhi. He doesn't seem happy. You know, Paul George seems like he's lost in the sauce. Then you got Boston, who keeps going to the playoffs and just getting beat. So at what point do you say, you know what, I might need to take my talent somewhere else? You know, so I just wonder how many of those people will be willing to go. Because I think even with Milwaukee, if they lose to the Nets, I think they might be making some changes too, you know, and look at the Lakers, you know, so I don't know. Like,
I mean, what I will say is, and this always bothered me, the players who are saying, who are exiting early and getting frustrated. You're exiting early because of you, because of your play. Sometimes it is because you don't have enough around you. Sometimes it is because of the coach not making the necessary adjustments. But sometimes it's because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. Now you want to get frustrated and leave. Reminds me a little bit of KD when he left OKC to go to Golden State. And maybe there were other things involved. But I'm saying to myself, I hope. Yeah, let me just finish it. Maybe there were other things involved in it, and that's fine. But I'm saying to myself, I hope you're not leaving because you feel like y'all can't do it. You went to Game 7, and if y'all didn't do it, it was partly because of your play. So it kind of kills me with players getting frustrated. Oh, I need to move. It's not working here. When they may be part of the problem. That being said, I'm not a big Paul George fan because I like his game, but
me either.
In the playoffs, he just hasn't seemed to come up huge for them. And we already got Randle, who we're nursing. I don't know if we need somebody else. A Kawhi, I like. If he's disgruntled and feel like he can make a difference in New York, I do like him.
Because that's why he left San Antonio, right? Didn't he leave San Antonio because they just couldn't get over the hump?
Well, I think that he had an injury, and I think there was some mistrust with the medical staff, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And I like Dame. He doesn't
look happy, though. He doesn't look happy. Yeah, Dame. I love Dame. Dame, that 55-point game, I was watching that like, wow. I really thought he was going to will them to that win, and he was just so determined to put them on. And that's the type of person we need. We need that type of player. I'm going to go down on my last leg, but I'm going to give you everything I got, and I'm going to leave it on the court. And he damn sure left it on the court that day, so.
Right. But this is the thing with Dame. Dame is 31 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He really quickens our window to put a team around him. He's 31.
Yeah.
You figure he's going to play or be in his prime maybe till he's 34, maybe. That's 4 seasons. So if you bring Dame in, basically you're accelerating what you're trying to do here. So there's no sense of forget about a draft pick because they're not going to pop in the timeline this 4 years that you need them to pop. You may have to trade Obi and quickly to get them. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be good players. They are going to be good players, but they have become good players down the line, and the Knicks will need good players right now if they trade for Dame. And this is the thing. It is a gamble because you're shortening your window in one respect and the salary cap in another respect. It's going to be less you're going to be able to do. So you're going to have to hope that players will want to take less to come here. You're going to have to hope that on the buyout market, players will want to come here because he takes up a significant part. Now, by the time we get to the 50-something million, hopefully the salary cap will have increased and it'll be less of a percentage of the cap, but still, it's a lot. It's a lot. So what do you think about it? You still there? Oh, okay. So any last thoughts on Dame before we close out the show? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate the chat. I appreciate all those listening while you're doing whatever you're doing. I appreciate those that are going to listen later on. It's been a fun ride. I'm not going anywhere, but this is just kind of like the show to cap off the regular season and the playoffs. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate this opportunity. And I'll be back, like I said, every week, as we upgrade this roster for next season. If there are any females out there that want to be on this panel with me and Chris, email Sim, Simeon Russell. You could DM them as well. I think it's srussell@nothingbutKnicks.com. And don't you know, I'm not sure if there's any females out there that contemplating being on the show and you're thinking that you're not sure if your views are tight enough or right enough. It's just personal opinion. It's just your opinion on the topic. And what I could do if you feel a little nervous, sometimes I do this with Chris. I text her. I can even email you what the topics are going to be, and the questions that I'm going to ask you, so that if you want to start practicing your takes before you come on, you could do that, right? So it's a real easy peasy atmosphere, a lot of respect. Your opinion could be very different from mine, very different from Chris. It is what it is. You are welcome. So please reach out. I'd like to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other females on the panel. I know there are female Knicks fans out there. I talk to you guys all the time. Don't be shy. Reach out. Come on, and let's have a good time. Shout out to the chat before I leave. Dewan Bailey, appreciate you, sis. May 4th. A-Train, Kevin Bergen. Kawhi will be a free agent. Yes, whether or not he resigns with them remains to be seen. Will Salkin, great show. I hope I said that right. Thanks, Queen. That One Kid 68, another fantastic show. Steph, Pudge Nice, Roy Gregory, Severings, B Bussa, Wash Entertain, all of you. I appreciate you hanging out. I just want to make sure I got to all of the super chats before I log off. I believe I did. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like we say. Chris, any last words before I log off?
Nah, just salute to the chat. I can't see everybody, but you know, it's all love. Thank you for accepting me. And yo, let's go Knicks next year.
Yeah, definitely. Salute. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.